So the Dragon Ball Super English dub of episode 76 came out a couple of days ago on Toonami, so as with every week, it is time to put the dub changes into one video. Basically, we analyze the important dub changes, or the ones that I like to talk about, and we'll get straight to it. So, the first dub change is, of course, the episode title, and in the Japanese, it is Defeat These Terrifying Enemies, Kuririn's Fighting Spirit Returns. Then the English title is very similar, so there's not much to talk about. It's just Conquer the Terrifying Foes, Krillin's Fighting Spirit Rebounds. So it's Krillin instead of Kuririn, and also Conquer the Terrifying Foes instead of Defeat These Terrifying Enemies. So very similar. Let's move on. Not really much to talk about with the episode title. A lot of the time with the Dragon Ball Super English dub, it's the same title basically anyway, like it's just almost identical, so not much to talk about there. And then Goku is taking out the illusions. Basically this episode deals with Goku and Krillin fighting the illusions of previous bad guys that they faced, and with Krillin, some of the enemies like Frieza and Tambourine have killed Krillin, so that's basically what the episode is dealing with. And while Goku is taking out the illusions, Krillin's not helping. So in the Japanese, he's like, Krillin, let's take these guys out. And in the English, he's like, come on, Krillin, let's take these guys out and get out of here. So not really much of a change, just, come on, Krillin, and the added and get out of here. So English dubby says, let's take these guys out and get out of here. So basically that's the only inclusion. So Goku taking these guys out, and then he's like, let's get out of here, let's take these guys out and get going, and in the Japanese, that is excluded. So then, after, much reluctance, Krillin agrees to fight, and in the Japanese, he's like, got it, he seems very assertive in the Japanese, and in the English dub, not so much, because he says, yeah, I can try. Now, in the English dub, he just sounds a little bit more worried, and in the Japanese, he's like, got it, let's go. But in the English dub, he sounds a little more apprehensive and a little more frightened, which suits the scene a bit. Krillin is kind of, that's the whole theme of this episode, basically Krillin taking and, basically evolving as a character and taking his past and basically molding it so he's a stronger person, and this is what the episode is about. So him being apprehensive and saying, yeah, I can try, that suits his character. He obviously would be a little nervous, so yeah. Anyway, there's a Bulma illusion as well, and then Goku comments on the Bulma illusion. In the Japanese, he says, huh, that's Bulma. And in the English dub, he says, wow, that just, that looks just like Bulma. So there's a little bit of a difference there. In the Japanese, he is like, okay, that is identical to Bulma, that is Bulma. And in the English, he's just like, oh, that looks very, similar to Bulma. That looks just like Bulma. But in the Japanese, he's more assertive, Goku is, and he's like, that's Bulma. And then it cuts to Barba and Roshi. Basically, the B-plot of this episode is Barba and Roshi commentating on Krillin and Goku's training. And then 18, walks about, to Roshi's place as well. And she's like, what's going on? And then Roshi and Barba are basically commenting the fight and talking about basically his errand that he got Goku and Krillin to do. And in the Japanese, Barba talks about Roshi's errand, and he's like, you certainly decided on some drastic therapy, didn't you? And that's referring to Krillin's inner struggle, with himself and his power and basically his past. And in the English dub, in the Japanese, they use the word therapy, which I like. I like that word as a description for this episode, because it is, drastic therapy, taking Goku and Krillin and putting them out in the Forest of Illusion, basically, the Forest of Terror, as the episode says, but, it's just like Super Mario World, the Forest of Illusion. But anyway, in the English, she says, this is a pretty bold move on your part, taking drastic measures like this. So she doesn't use the the therapy line. She doesn't say drastic therapy, she just says drastic measures, which is accurate. Like, I'm not saying any of these lines are inaccurate at all, but they're just a little bit different from the original Japanese, which I'd like to talk about. I like to talk about the little sort of dub changes, because in actuality, the only dub change that's actually major, in my opinion, is the Chala Hechala one, and I've already talked about that, which will, I've made a video on it, so that will be linked down below, below this English dub video on episode 76, so yeah. The English dub, she outright says, this is a pretty bold move on your part, but in the Japanese, she sounds a little more like question-y, like, you certainly decided on some drastic therapy, didn't you? Like, a little more sarcastic and dry, and in the English dub, she just says, like, downright, this is a pretty bold move on your part, taking drastic measures like this. So it's kind of like, in the Japanese, she's being a tad more sarcastic, and in the a few moments later, 18 reacts to the name Forest of Terror. So basically, 18 comes into the frame, Roshi explains what he's doing and what Goku and Krillin are doing, because they're like going and looking at this fight, I guess. Goku's and Goku and Krillin are fighting a battle with themselves, especially Krillin, which, 18 talks about and actually refers to. But anyway, so Master Roshi, he says the name Forest of Terror, like I just did, it's a Forest of Terror they're in. So then 18 reacts to the name Forest of Terror, and she says in the Japanese, the Forest of Terror, ? And in the English dub, she sounds very sarcastic, which is good for 18. I do like sarcastic 18. And she says, well, that sounds ominous. Like, it's just very sarcastic, very in character 18. And I do like the English dub, line a bit better than the Japanese, because the Japanese stock standard line, nothing is really wrong with this line in the Japanese, her just saying the Forest of Terror, ? But in the English dub, it's a little bit more of 18's personality coming out, with her saying, well, that's ominous, that sounds ominous, that's very sarcastic, very 18, very characteristic of that, character. So, a few moments later, Krillin rants about Goku's good mood, because Goku is very upbeat in this episode, and it seems like Goku is like the clever guy, and Krillin is like the dumbass, which is, the opposite of how they traditionally are, which I like this episode for that. It's basically like a role reversal, I guess. And then Krillin just rants about Goku's good mood, and he even has a great moment where he's like, I'm not like you, like, I'm not happy-go-lucky like you. Krillin says this about Goku, and he's like, how can you be so happy? You're like, I don't get your personality, mate. So then, Krillin rants about Goku's good mood, and in the Japanese, he says, Frieza, Tambourine, and the others, they're all guys that killed me. So he's just ranting at this whole situation, like, what is going on? And in the English, they say something a bit similar. Like, they say something extremely similar, but instead of Frieza and Tambourine and the others, he says Frieza, Tambourine, Majin Buu. So they include Majin Buu in that little sentence, and basically they say, he says, they all killed me. So, which is correct. Like, I'm not saying, like, Krillin didn't get killed by Majin Buu, but I'm just saying, like, Frieza, Tambourine, Majin Buu, he just includes Majin Buu, instead of saying, like, Frieza, Tambourine, and the others. They're all guys that killed me. So, yeah. Then towards the end of the episode, actually we're past the second half of this point, so Goku says, he comments on why he can't kill the Super Shenron fake, because, of, like, the flying Nimbus, and he's like, if I destroy, this Super Shenron fake, basically Super Shenron appears as an illusion, kind of like Vegeta and Nappa and Frieza and Cell, all of these people that showed up. Super Shenron is very similar, and he obviously has the nasty-ass fucking breath, as, Goku comments on. But anyway, he says, in the Japanese, if I go full power here, I'll blow away Kinto Un too. And in the English, he's like, yeah, probably, because he's responding to Krillin. He's basically like, yeah, I can probably kill this Super Shenron fake. But he says, yeah, probably, but a blast like that will take out Nimbus too. So very similar lines. But in the Japanese, he's like, if I go full power, I'll blow away Kinto Un. And the Japanese seems like Goku, like, it just sounds like Goku is much weaker than he is. So does the English when he says, yeah, probably. probably, like, it's like, there's no probably about this. Like, you could take it out, but a blast like that will take out Nimbus 2. There's, like, no probably in that. Like, he should have just said yeah in the English dub. And then Japanese, he's like, if I go full power here. So just two different ways on making Goku sound weaker than he is, which is weird. And then in the final sort of few moments of the episode, in the final few minutes, when Roshi gets his Paradise Plant, well, actually before that, Goku, you know, when the Paradise Plant is growing in the Forest of Terror, Goku says, you know, the Paradise Plant is growing. And in the Japanese, he says, wow, more and more are growing. So basically more and more are popping up. And then in the English dub, I like this dub line, actually, I really do. It's a bit different than the Japanese, but I still really like it. In the English, sorry, he says, check it out, Krillin, they're sprouting up like weeds. Obviously not, you know, marijuana, but like weeds that, you know, pop up and you have to like cut them and like, yeah, so weeds, you know. But anyway, I just like that line. So like a nice little, you know, just a funny line, I guess. Not really funny, but just, you know, kind of like more spiced up than the Japanese. I do like that line. It reminds me of a Kai line, to be honest. It's very accurate to the Japanese, but it also has its own flavor. But anyway, guys, that's all the dub changes that I wanted to talk about. Did I miss any? Please leave some in the comment section down below. If I missed any episode 76 English dub changes, let me know your thoughts in the comments regarding these dub changes that I mentioned here. And also, leave me your thoughts regarding the Chala HLR Easter egg that was in episode 76, because I've seen a lot of positive reception, you know, a few negative reviews, or not reviews, I should say, reactions to that Chala HLR thing, but I want to know your thoughts in the comments as well. I even, you know, did a video on it, you know, the Chala HLR, you know, Goku singing Chala HLR, I've done a video on that already, so go check that out. If you haven't, please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I did enjoy this episode, and the episode of the English dub as a whole. Very accurate, very tight script, nice little character moments with Goku and Krillin, Chala HLR, which was awesome to hear again, and yeah, that's basically it. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.